Hey there, welcome to week 4 of my wrist injury recovery vlog. If you're new to the channel, then it's really cool to have you here. I'm Ree, and hopefully this is going to be of interest to you. If not, I do have some cool yoga tutorials, yoga classes and meditations on the channel. So if this really kind of isn't what you're after, please check out some other stuff on the channel. And if you're returning, then thanks for showing an interest in the recovery. I imagine it's really not that interesting to most people, but hopefully it'll just be a bit of a helpful tool for anyone that does have a wrist injury or any kind of injury and are a yoga teacher or just a yoga practitioner, or I guess just anyone that's into a lot of physical movement. So that was a pretty long intro. So anyway, hey, this is week 4 of the vlog. I didn't do week 3, as I said. Everything was just super busy last week. I think it was to do with doctor's appointments, fracture clinic, and just loads of stuff going on. And the world is all kind of reopening. So last week was the first week that I was back in the studio teaching, which was pretty cool. So yeah, changes, I guess. I had my fracture clinic appointment, saw a really great doctor there. He spent a lot of time looking over the x-ray that I'd had, sent me for some more x-rays, had a good look at the hand. So when you kind of feel like you're in safe hands, that's definitely how I felt with the fracture clinic at my local hospital. So that was last week, and yeah, the outcome of that is that I'm now not in the plaster cast anymore, which is just amazing because it's so much easier to live your life. Anyone that's been in plaster before knows that coming out of it is much better to just maneuver and take showers and stuff and wash your hair without worrying about things getting wet. So that's really cool. I would say coming out of it, I was a little bit apprehensive because I was still in quite a bit of pain. And for the first couple of nights sleeping, this just doesn't give the same level of control, I think, around the joint as the plaster does. The plaster kind of is you're sucked in, you're not going anywhere, that joint is not moving. Whereas, there is a little bit of movement in this unless I want to have it. So it's cutting off the circulation to my hand, which I don't. So yeah, the first couple of nights probably took a while because I was probably moving around in bed and maybe leaning on it and putting a bit more pressure on it than it had been used to for the 3 weeks. But other than that, it's been pretty good. And definitely since my last vlog, there's just so much more I can do with it. So when I had a re-x-ray, the fracture is really minor. In his opinion, I probably could have done without the plaster cast from the get-go, but obviously when you're at accident and emergency, they're just trying to help you out the best way they can, so they're really cautious, which is great. But it was healing really nicely, which is why he put me into a splint. I guess that's the great upside, that was really positive. The downside is that based on kind of what he was looking at and feeling and just my, reaction, his view is that there could be some tendon or ligament damage, and he wanted to have a proper look at that. So he's referred me for an MRI scan so that he can have a proper look at what's going on and then make, a proper assessment of a real recovery period. However, I would say that what's been really positive about coming out of the plaster cast and just seeing the doctor and seeing a bit of a specialist is that his view was just keep using the hand as much as you can, and even picking weight, picking up a weight as in the kettle when it's full is actually feeling pretty heavy to me. So not actual kettlebells or anything, but kind of using it and just letting pain be the guide. So if it's not hurting, or if there's a really faint a bit of pain but not a lot, then just keep using it because it's all just adding into the strengthening of everything that's going on in this area. And definitely I've noticed there's so much more I could do. So I would say a week ago I couldn't clasp my hands underneath me in Setu Pandasana, bridge pose. So for anyone that's a yogi, you'll know what I mean. Regularly we'll clasp the hands underneath our body as we lift the hips, and then we really retract the shoulder blades in together, and the hands are a great way to push in, bring the shoulders in, kind of feel them come along the back body, and I find it helps with the lift, especially in the chest area. And I wasn't able to do that. So even though I've been practicing yoga since the accident, I wasn't able to do my regular bridge. I was having to just keep my arms alongside me and just leave the pressure off. So that's really cool. And there's loads of things that are now starting to come back, which just weren't there before. So I'll probably pop like maybe a picture or something in this next shot of me doing a forearm stand. Now I couldn't do it with the forearms flat. I've realized that for the forearm stand, probably shouldn't have been a realization as a teacher, but it's actually like the weight is literally transferred from that elbow joint right the way through to the fingertips. So you are putting a downward pressure on, even though it's dispersed. It's obviously very different to a regular arm balance where you've got the hand in like complete extension, the wrist, in extension. But I am able to kind of forearm stand. I'm able to baby crow. I'm able to like forearm plank really easily, side plank on the forearm. So whilst for the first couple of weeks and the last time I vlogged, I was kind of focusing on doing a little bit of regular vinyasa yoga, but more so just looking at how I could build core strength in the lower body and kind of avoid anything in the upper body. Like I'm not doing that now. Now I'm just doing regular vinyasa classes and I'm just modifying as I need to. So instead of a down dog, I'm just doing a dolphin. Instead of a chaturanga, I'm just lowering from a forearm plank to the ground. Instead of up dog, I'm taking low cobra. So it is all really, really doable. And this injury has been an eye-opener to me. As like, you just don't need, it's great. Obviously, I've not been able to do a handstand or practice handstanding or arm balancing. And I'm an arm balance junkie. I love arm balancing. But it hasn't stopped me doing so much stuff. And actually, it's really made me realize that a lot of the time we focus so much on the upper body when, you know, really it's accessible to build that strength in the lower body as long as you put the work in. And I think often I'm focusing on upper body strength and opening through the shoulders, which is really important, but I'm probably in the past neglecting the lower body. So yeah, I've definitely found my own practice, whilst it's different because I can't do all the inversions or arm balancing that I would like to do, and I can't take a regular vinyasa, I'm able to do like most of any class where I, you know, take a modification that I've created for myself. And teaching it, that has been great. I actually think it's helping me to rely less on demoing stuff. I think as a teacher, you fall into a trap that's probably pretty unintentional, where you feel like you're just demoing the whole thing so that the class can follow along. And online hasn't really helped with that because you really are having to demo a lot when you're online. Whereas I've been back in the studio now for 2 sessions teaching, and I'm probably demoing less than half of what we're doing. And the rest of the time I'm kind of walking the room and reading the bodies and kind of making verbal adjustments, because we still can't adjust anyone yet because of COVID. I'm sure we'd all just wish COVID would just get stuff. But yeah, so actually it's really made me realize what my language is like. So it's made me realize that often I'm relying on a visual rather than coming up with a really effective cue. It's also made me realize that some of my cueing is in autopilot, and it's not always really the most effective cue I could give somebody. And I think now that I'm not able to actually demo and cue for some stuff at the same time, I'm really having to think about, well, what does it feel like in the body? What would I like the student to feel like in the body? And how am I going to portray that in what I'm saying rather than what I'm doing? So it is definitely, like, whilst it's a bummer, I still can't drive. The doctor didn't want me driving until we've had this MRI, which is a real bummer for the boyfriend, because and also I keep forgetting that I can't drive, and then I'm just making plans, especially now because here where I am, like, the COVID restrictions are lightly lifting, so like gyms and studios are opening and outdoor cafes and bars are opening, and I'm just like making plans, and then I'm kind of like, oh babe, I need you to drive me places. So I think it's been pretty tough on him actually, but he's been awesome, so that's cool. But yeah, definitely, whilst there's a couple of big downsides to this, actually in the long run, this is a really good thing for me. It's going to make me a much better teacher. It's going to make me also think really hard about how I, just use my own visual and my muscle memory of what it feels like to portray that to a student. Like last night in class, I was teaching them flying pigeon. So that's an arm balance. I can't actually do it right now for them. I can go so far. I can get, figure of 4 from standing, come down into a toe stand. But when it comes to actually putting the hands flat and then, taking the weight into the upper body, I can't do that with this hand right now. But I was still able to teach them. So, and a few of them nailed it. And I'm kind of stood there thinking, you just don't need to demo as much as you have been. So that's definitely a great thing that I will take away and keep. For anyone that's going through an injury like this, I would say don't just stop going to classes, and don't spend all your time looking for some alternative to what you were doing. Just do, like, there's tons of wristless classes on YouTube, and plugging here, I've filmed a couple of wristless classes. And the wristless classes are just as challenging. I did a Patrick Beach masterclass the other day on his Commune online platform because I'm a member. And it was wristless, it was handless. Our hands did not touch the floor. And for an hour, it was so tough. You're still able to make it, quite a intermediate practice. But I think in your head, immediately you're like, wristless, that's just going to be, soft and gentle and easy. Nah, like it's kind of like 50 low boat to high boat, or 50 Navasana, low Navasana to high Navasana, or, squatting for what feels like eternity, or a double bent leg lunge that feels like eternity. And all those things are like working the core and the lower body without the use of the upper body. So, or without weight bearing on the upper body. Of course, the upper body plays a part. So my top tip would be just keep going to classes, keep looking online. And if you do need an online platform, Alo is really good because there's so much variety on Alo. You can do just like a 20-minute core workout where you're never going to be on your hands. Maybe they want you to do a lot of planks, but you just come down to forearm plank, and damn, that works you super hard. Like the forearm planks are no joke when you want to hold them for a long time. And then Commune, like I've been a Commune member for months, way before the injury, and actually so much of their stuff is mobility, and they've got loads of kind of like deep stretch flows or yins, and they've actually done some wristless classes because I emailed them to say, like, can you just do a couple, or just to give me a bit of help. So I would say, keep going to your local studio, and if you need an online platform to practice on, Alo, Commune, I'm sure there's loads more. There's a ton, obviously, on YouTube. And, if you need any wristless classes, there's going to be a couple coming onto my channel because I've just recorded a few wristless ones, which are, real core burners. I was absolutely knackered by the end of them. So yeah, I'm not trying to give any medical, nutrient or water advice on this vlog, as I did last time, which was probably like a massive fail. But yeah, I've definitely been trying to keep an eye on sleep, water and vitamins. I had a blood test last week just to check where all my like kind of major nutrient levels are. Everything's fine. So all the supplements I've been taking and the diet I have is working, which is cool because I'm plant-based. So that was worrying me a bit in terms of recovering. And yeah, I'd say keep doing your yoga, find alternative things, and just don't stress. If you're injured, you're injured. You can't change it. All you can do is look after it, work everything that can be worked, and be grateful that it's an injury and it's not going to be permanent. Like I haven't done something that is completely irreversible. It's going to come back. It's just going to take time. And I think the challenge for me will be like, right now I'm really positive about it because I'm still in that injured phase. And I think where the challenge will be for me to stay positive is when I feel like I can bear weight on the wrists, but nothing will feel quite as stable for a long time. And I'll need to keep reminding myself that it was broke and it's healed, but it still now needs time. So that's it. I plan to only talk for like 5 minutes, but this is kind of like a bit of a diary dump of how I feel about it all. So if you're still with me, if you still watch this till the end, Awesome, good on you. I really appreciate it. And yeah, if you want to check out my classes, Riskless or regular, or even some of the tutorials, I've spoken loads about arm balancing, so I'm going to pop a little arm balance card in the corner for a playlist I did, a series on arm balancing. And if you like all that stuff, then please just like this video and subscribe to the channel. It just all helps me and the dogs to keep creating content and know that we are going in the right direction. So thanks for watching, and I'll try and remember to film week number 5, and if so, I will see you back here next week.